Tania the Herbalist is the brand that I built when you initially started to come in contact. My name is Tania Kazal, and to be honest with you, I came into this field because my mom, who was on so many pharmaceuticals and narcotics, was on her deathbed. And so I found my love for the natural healing world because I wanted to save her life. And I don't want to say that I did, but we kind of did. She got off of her narcotics. She got off of everything. So I have to share this with the world. But what's interesting, what happened is through like thousands of consultations, I started to get booked like crazy and stuff. And it's like the silent thing that I noticed many years ago is people were struggling in their relationships. Like one woman who had cancer, who was eating organic, detoxing, doing everything, hasn't spoken to her mom in like 5 years. And like a lot of people don't recognize the impact that something like that has on your health. And so I went down that rabbit hole. I went down the rabbit hole. I myself was estranged from my mom. I went no contact with my mom for 2 years. I had all of my stuff. And so I just got to a point where I was like, okay, everyone's talking about health and wellness and, holistic living. Why is anybody talking about this? It's like it's like the woo woo that nobody wants to talk about. It's like untouched territory. And so I said, I need to talk about this because we cannot preach about healthy living if your relationships are not taken care of. And I'm talking about from love relationships to family relationships to your children. And so that's what I do now. I'm like, cool, I'm going to be that person that's going to talk about this. I've studied psychology and neuroscience for over a decade. It's like one of my passions. And so it just kind of all came to fruition. And this is what I do now. I try to reconnect the family unit and protect the family unit because we've got a society that, I say that I'm very rooted in faith, but the devil loves nothing more than destroying the family unit.
That's what we just said. It's the division.
100%. Right? When we think about COVID, think about everything that's happened. It was like, I'm not talking to my family. I'm not doing this. If you don't follow what I do, the disagreements, and it creates the no contact, the cancel culture.
I wonder how much of this you think is due to the rise of social media and people spending all day on their phones.
So I love that you're asking that question because if you think about it, it goes back to there's one therapist, his name is Carl Rogers. He introduced the almost like the me first, the personal type of therapy where it's like my feelings are facts. And it's not like he had bad intentions, but he introduced that like how I'm feeling needs to be justified. That started in the 70s. So then when you fast forward to like the 80s, where now you had the Oprahs and the Dr. Phils that were starting to rise up, it's actually the millennials that I find that before phones were already being programmed into this way of thinking. And because it became that anything that disturbs my peace of mind should be cut off. And I think every single one of us put Oprah on a pedestal, right? And for me, people might love her, but I just recognize that she was some of the biggest books, for example, that she promoted were Boundaries, Toxic Parents, books that were literally talking about, well, how do you feel is real? So it kind of started to move away from healthy conversations and tough conversations into, if it's hard, then we should be disconnected. It's not healthy for me. So yes, it's worse with cell phones and social media now. So the younger generations, the 20-year-olds and the teenagers are getting it 10x. But the cutoff culture that I'm seeing the most of right now, which is crazy, is women in their late 30s, 40s, even 50s that are cutting off their parents.
Wow. Well, so I have a mother. She's fine with me, but then all of a sudden, she can't have a conversation with me. I don't know what to do. She's completely cut me off.
One of the biggest things when it comes to cutting someone off is it's their own triggers. And it's hard for a lot of people to recognize that. So even when you think about your mom, she might be feeling the pull from, like you said, the weakling of the family, because there always is that pull. The reason why I estranged my mom was because she pretty much gave me an ultimatum of, a relationship that I was in. But then my sister sided with her. And then my sister would always go to my mom first and talk about me. And then my mom never even came to ask my side. She would just come and lash out at me and all of those things. So your mom could very well be feeling like he's the weakling and he needs protection. And my mom did the same thing for all of my life. My sister had the health issues. My sister had a lot of personal issues that happened. So she felt the need to protect her more. And because of it, she, I would say, neglected my needs. And so she could be almost feeling like Kelly is okay right now. This my other sibling, my other child is the one that needs me right now. And so whatever I got to do to protect him, she knows you're strong. And that doesn't mean that they're handling it right. It typically, honestly, Kelly, has nothing to do with you, but her perspective of just protecting the child who is having the issues with you, is the one that needs the TLC, is the one that needs that attention. In her mind, it's just like, Kelly's okay. So I don't think that the no contact is actually like, oh, I don't love her, I think she's bad, all of the things. I think it's just your mom, which I see more than anything, is our parents are so unhealed that they don't know how to deal with difficult conflict. They're like the king and queens of avoidance. And so because that pressure of your daughter, her son, all of those things, she's not strong enough to handle it. So it's easier for her to take a step back.
Well,
and your child,
it's almost like she's always like, well, you're going to regret it when I die. You're like, she kind of wants to punish me.
Mhm.
right?
Like she wants me to be like ruined the rest of my life. She doesn't want to heal. She doesn't want.
And so what started that? Because the reason why I think your daughter is, first of all, we talked about this, societal influence is huge.
My daughter went woke and I'm not woke. You know what I mean?
Right. And that you see that so much, man. The political views are creating that. My brother cut me off because of my views on COVID. It's been 5 years. He won't talk to me. The thing is, I still send him messages. Happy birthday. Love you. Thinking about you. Even if he doesn't answer, I'm like, that's fine. It's my conscience. But your daughter can also, the programming is real, but I think that it's really important. I first want to just touch on that quickly. I think it's so incredibly important to still, a lot of the times the political view is not the foundation of why they cut you off. It's because, how old is she, by the way?
She's 19 and she lives in Paris, France.
So she's at the beginning stages of identity formation, which means she has no idea who she is. She's trying to figure out who she is and all of that stuff. The most important thing that you need to do right now, Kelly, is still be that steady, consistent mom, which means I'm not going to argue with you about your stance. I'm not going to push my stance on you. I just want you to know that I'm a safe place to always come back to, because that will outlive every identity formation that she's going through.
Okay.
She's like at the peak of it. This is now where I'm detaching from my parents, and distance actually happens the most at this age because they're realizing that I'm a separate person outside of my parents. And I'm not talking about like the toddler phase where they recognize that mommy and daddy are not attached to me. I mean from that, like, who am I? Aside from what they told me and everything. And because she's going through that, you have to be the steady, calm parent. If not, if you're arguing with her perspective or trying to influence her opinion and all of that, when you don't have a safe foundation, she will just retract more.
What about when, like, my parents, for example, are notorious for holding grudges and have held stuff against me for many decades and stopped calling me except on my birthday? And it didn't seem to matter how often I reached out, they wouldn't reciprocate. And at some point I just kind of got fed up, and I was like, well, if you're not going to call me, I'm not going to call you. Well, what do you tell people who are in that position?
I think the biggest thing is we have to stop responding to people based on how they're responding to us, because all of our parents grew up in a totally different world. How their parents were with them are so different than how they are with you and how you are with your child. And so for me, the biggest thing is, I said, my mom's never going to change. Has my mom taken accountability for everything? I can bring up something and she'll still defend herself. She'll still argue her way through it. But for me, I'm like, I don't care. You keep being how you are, but for my peace of mind and the person that I want to be, I'm okay if I reach out. I'm okay if they never reciprocate that. She might never. But the biggest thing for me is, I think when I saw my mom on her deathbed and it all came full circle, is when I realized that I want to have zero regrets when she dies. Zero, which means I try to do everything that I can. And even if she didn't reciprocate that, that's fine. But for my own peace of mind and the person that I want to be and the example that I want to be for my kids, I'm okay. I'm okay with being the bigger person and keep trying and them never reciprocating that for your peace of mind. It's like something in you, because when a parent or a child or anyone dies, and that's why I talk so much to the children who are cutting off their parents, your anger and your pain leaves with them.
Yeah.
So you have a very different perspective, and now you'll never be able to actually have a conversation again. So it's just more being okay. Like, I love you, mom and dad. I'm okay with, I hope you're doing well. I'm thinking about you. Being that person when they probably don't have anybody in their life do that with them, almost like takes them out of survival mode and how they're used to living into, this is different. Like, everything in their body is going to think it's different. But the biggest thing is, Rick, is you do that for you, not for them, right? And that's a big part of our inner childhood wounds that thinks that our parents should be doing. They're our parents. They should be reaching out. They should love me more than I love them. They should do all of these things. But if you were to think back on how their parents or your dad's, dad was with him, your dad in his mind probably thinks I'm a wonderful father compared to how my dad was with me.
Right. Right.
But what I've also been amazed by is, since we both started having issues with our families, is how many other people, when I spoke with them, had similar problems.
Similar issues. That's what I'm saying. So this is what, first of all, my dad is 73, and my dad is also all the time on social media. So yes, it is playing a role, because what happens with social media, there's also algorithm. If they watch one video on a topic, they're flooded with it, and then they feel like their feelings are validated, and then they're justified, and they feel empowered, and now they want to cut off even more because look at everybody else. It's like that primal state survival, right? Of like that sense of belonging, but it's a broken system. And that's exactly why I'm kind of here to be like, no, there's nothing more broken. There's nothing that breaks future generations than destroying this family unit, because then you have no lineage. Your kids and their grandkids and everything has no idea who their family is or what that lineage means. So it's like, we have to protect it. And in order to protect that, we have to be the ones to break the cycle and say, I'm no longer going to be triggered by anyone in my family. And if I am triggered, that's a me problem, not a them problem. So how do I get to a state where I'm no longer hurt by what they're doing to me? Because most of the time it's not intentional. It's their own wounds and their own demons that they're fighting, that they're projecting on other people. And they project it on the strongest people around them.
But you mentioned that you still have issues with your own brother, right? And you're the expert.
Yes. So my brother, he's my half brother. So we never grew up in the same home. And he's always been distant. He has his own issues. I've tried to talk to him. He doesn't really talk to any of the siblings, but then same thing. He's very, very woke. So he thinks I'm like a danger to society, all of the stuff. But the thing is like, I genuinely feel sad for him. Like, I feel sad that he might regret when one of us passes away. I feel sad that he hasn't healed through that. But once again, I'll still message him happy birthday, even if he doesn't respond back. We still invite him to family gatherings, even if he doesn't reply or ever show up. And that's what I'm able to do. I can't chase someone to even open up conversation, but I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep planting those seeds, and maybe eventually he will talk to me.
What if your family member tells you they don't want any contact with you? Are you still contacting them? You are.
Yes. Yeah. But you don't do it in a pressure way. It's almost like I'm thinking about you, or I pull up an old picture and just say, this just came up. I remember this day like it was yesterday. Love you.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those, like, I'm not trying to force a conversation, and this is what I teach. I'm just planting those seeds of conversation. Like my mom, oh my goodness, my sister and I talk about it all the time with the things that she still does, but things that would normally like, oh, I just want to freak out on her right now. Like, I don't understand. Like, you've destroyed me enough and I had to do all the work and now you're still trying to, versus I'm not even going to bother. Like, I'm sad that at her age, she hasn't been able to heal the way that I have. And I just messaged her, I love you. You look beautiful. I'll FaceTime. She might have conversations that bother me, but I'm just like, I'm not going to let it bother me, because the biggest thing for me and what society is doing is they're teaching that love is disposable. And there's nothing more dangerous than that, because no matter how great of a parent we think we are to our child, if they see that love is disposable and we're not able to have hard conversations, you're teaching your kid to probably do the same. So all these kids that are cutting off their parents that think it's healthy, and they're like, I'll never do what my parents did to me with my kids. I'm like, you're right. But if your kid sees you not talk to your parent, you better believe they're probably going to replicate that.
But it does seem like a trend that the whole kids turn
100%.
Yeah, it seems like a trend. Like, his daughter's done it to him. She's woke. My daughter is now, I'm the one who's taking care of her whole life. Her dad never has done anything.
Yeah.
And
it's the societal influence is dangerous. You're right. Because it's teaching peace over heart. Like no one can have a tough conversation anymore. There is no confrontational conversations, which is so important, so healthy. You guys know, as a married couple, some of your hardest conversations that went through an effective conversation turned into one of the things that made you the closest. They don't want that. So now we're in a society where anything that's triggering means it's unhealthy for me and I should distance myself from it. But that's actually the opposite. It's like, if it's triggering, it's like, okay, well, why is it triggering me? What do I got to go through? So you're right. Societal influence is very, very real, which is why, same thing, I try to talk about that often, because this is what the devil wants. And I remember reading a story, and I want to say it's a biblical story. I'm not going to lie, but I remember it stuck to me so bad, where the devil's accomplices were coming at him and sharing all the bad that they did during the day. And he was like celebrating them and congratulating them.
Uh-huh.
And one of them came and said, I murdered today. And he's like, good job, good job. Another one was like, oh, I stole. Oh, good job. And the other one came and said, I actually broke up a family. And he was like, that's very, very well done. Like, he gave him the most praise, because when you break the family unit, you break generations to come. It affects their health. It affects their mind. They have no sense of belonging. So they're easily manipulated and controlled, and all of those. That's exactly. And we know that this is meant to happen. It's written biblically, prophetically, everywhere. It's written that this is what's going to happen. And people who are even faith-led are falling into the trap, not even realizing that the devil loves nothing more than destroying the family unit. So what does your brother have against you? Like, was this from childhood? Did you guys fight a lot? Like, where's the pivot?
He's 5 years younger than me. And I think I was always kind of hard on him, because like when I come home from college, my dad was cutting the lawn. I'm like, why isn't he doing it? Like, he's younger. Why is dad doing this? And my mom has always babied him. Oh,
is he the youngest?
Yeah, he's the youngest. He can't do that because he has allergies. And it's constant. Like, I'm 5 years older.
And I think it's jealousy, because she's so accomplished and
it's twofold. That's right. So it becomes twofold, because the parent, this is what happens, is the parent first, you're right, they baby them to the point that they actually do envy your strength, because they don't have the ability, not because they don't necessarily want to, because their parents did not raise him the same way that they raised you to have that strength.
Right.
And so we have to show compassion. Even if he's so hard on you, Kelly, you have to say, I had expectations that my parents had on him, when he didn't even have the capacity. Like, he didn't even know how to, because he was never put in that situation to raise him that way. So when he's projecting it onto you, your best weapon of defense is being even more compassionate, instead of fighting fire with fire.
It's like, wow. For a moment, Tania, this guy has done so many things to hurt Kelly.
Across the face.
Well, and not just
physical is different.
Yeah, but not just that, but the stuff that he's done to try and get you in trouble has reached the point where, and every time, and Kelly is a very generous, giving person, and every time she's welcomed him back into the home, he's burned her again and burned her again, to the point she's like, I don't want to get burned anymore, because I keep trying to help this guy and keep trying to put myself out there for him and welcome him back, and he just keeps doing it again. And so it's almost as if this particular situation is not savable. And I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying she's been burned too many times.
Yeah, so I think there's a difference between.
I'm Catholic.
And there's a difference between completely allowing him back in. So like, I'm all for like standards and self-protection. And that doesn't mean, so my biggest thing is that doesn't mean necessarily no contact. That means that maybe he doesn't have to go into your home. You're right. If you are going to see him, or he's going to be around you, you're going to make sure that you're in a safe space, because that is not okay when it becomes physical and actually dangerous to you. But there's a way that you can just say, okay, well, maybe I'll send the one odd message and say, I hope you're doing well. I'm praying for you, those kinds of things, and let him fight his demons. That's the kind of safety that I refer to. That doesn't mean that I'm going to allow you to do whatever just so you're in my life. Big, big difference.
Well, so my parents, my mom and my brother live in Arizona, and my aunt, my grandma's sister, is 104. And my cousin invited me, he takes care of her, to go to her 104th birthday. Well, I said, yes, I would love to go. And I kind of wanted to go to see my mom and make amends try to talk to her, try to, because on the phone, it's not going to happen. Just get her and talk to her and say, hey, come with me, And Eric and my mom go to my cousin and they said, don't invite her. Don't disinvite her. We don't want her here. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Who's your biggest priority of a relationship right now?
But my mom. Oh, my daughter, actually. Because my mom and I are broken. Like we're broken. I tried to take care of her. I bought her a house. I bought her a car. I bought her everything. And she just expects everything. And finally, you know, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't afford what she wanted me to give her. And she's got a son that's always there. That he doesn't have kids. He doesn't have anything. He says he's going to buy her a house. He says he's going to do all these things, that he's so successful. Okay, then fine. I took care of her for 15 years. It's your turn now.
So is your dad around?
Yes. They're divorced.
Are they together?
No, they were divorced when I was 25.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to be very honest because this is what I do. What I'm hearing is I've taken care of everybody in the material sense, but let's bring it to the emotional sense because that is what creates no contact. Doesn't matter how much money you throw at anybody. And the biggest thing that I think that you could do, Kelly, is like, how could I become more emotionally regulated? Not saying that you're not, but even more. And we can all kind of work on being more emotionally regulated so that creates mirror neurons. Doesn't matter. There's an invisible umbilical cord. I don't care how damaged you think the relationship is. There's always a way back home. And it has to say, how can I stop emotionally reacting to everything that she's doing and try to see her emotional state? Like, what is your mom's story? That was the biggest breakthrough that I had with my mom. And it's not saying that you don't know her story. That means that I don't matter in this story. I don't matter. Whatever, however much she hurt me, whatever she's caused, whoever, it doesn't matter. What is her story? And write her story. Everything that she's gone through, what she went through in the divorce, why she's angry and bitter, what did her childhood look like? Like, go through that thoroughly. And this is going to be emotional, but I'm telling you, it's probably one of the best things that I've helped people reconnect, because my husband was abandoned by his mom when he was 13. He didn't want a relationship with her. She lives with us now. So like, I totally believe that you can rebuild any relationship, doesn't matter how broken it was, but you have to first rewrite their entire story. And I got him to do the same. I will never justify her leaving a 13-year-old, regardless of what her marriage looked like or anything like that. But I had to get him and so many others to do that, to come from a place of, I completely release you of everything you've ever done and hurt me with. I actually feel sad for you, and I want to be that emotionally regulated person for her, for yourself. Because when you do that, mirror neurons are essentially, someone mimics your energy. They mimic your energy, which is why your daughter is seeing it. Your daughter's living what she's seen. I'm not surprised that she's reacting that exact same way, because she's seen you and your mom over the years. Right. And so because of the mirror neurons, she's reacting exactly how it's been. That's what she knows. Right. But it's so salvageable, but it's the hardest work, because it says, if I'm going to keep being affected and hurt and sad by this, I'm still making it about me. And it's not that you don't matter, but if you are the strongest one, Kelly, you have to remove yourself and say, I want to repair my relationship with my mom. And I think your daughter's a priority, but we start it with your mom, because that's going to bleed into your daughter. Why? Because your mom has a bigger weakness for you right now than your daughter does for you at her age. Right. No matter how much you don't think it matters, your mom will always have a weakness for you, but she's blind. My mom's mom, she cut off her daughter for years. So my mom got so sick and everything like that. And on her deathbed, she was the only one that said, I forgive you and I'm sorry for everything I put you through. She said that to my mom. She didn't talk to any of the other siblings, and there's 16 of them. Wow. 16 of them. And she cut off my mom. So she knows. But the difference is my mom got to a point where my mom's dad died when she was 3. And that's what I'm saying. When I rewrote her story, I was like, to my mom, she was the best fucking mom ever compared to how her mom was with her. Right. Even though she didn't give me everything that I needed and what I needed. So when I rewrote her story, I more saw her as that little girl and no longer my mom. I looked at her at the unhealed, the wounded child. Right. My grandma was a 10 for a mother. Okay. She was. What about the dad or the siblings? She didn't have a dad. Her dad passed away when she was 3. She didn't have my mom too. She was 3. That's crazy. Yeah. She never had a father. I don't know what it's like to not have my father. I don't know what that would have made and the impact. So my point is I just rewrote her story and I looked at her as the wounded child and said, it's no longer about my mom. She's reacting from that child, and she doesn't have the resources and everything that you have.
Right.
And
Well,
so if you
my grandma spoiled my mom to
emotionally or materially,
both.
okay,
Like, both. My mom's
I
like a
feel
little
like
kid.
there's a missing link there.
Yeah.
There's a missing link somewhere in her story, and she's lashing out on you because maybe you're an example of what she could have never become. Maybe there's something there that can only happen when you rewrite the story. Did she have to swallow her dreams when she got married? What was it? Do you see what I'm saying? Where she sees you living your best life and she never got to, and she resents you. So my point is you remove yourself, because I know it's hard to believe, like, would my mom be jealous of me and all this, but you remove yourself and say, what is it? What is it in her that's missing, that's making her like this? And it's not that she's doing it intentionally. It's her own triggers that are lashing out on you. And the best way to repair that, and then that's going to repair your relationship with your daughter, is saying, I need to remove myself emotionally from this. And if I'm going to keep being triggered by everybody else, then I have more work to do. And that is the part that's so freeing, though, too, because the moment you stop reacting to them, I was like moth to a flame where my family just came back. And I have the best relationship with everyone in my family now.
But that is so
minus that one
difficult.
brother.
Well, I
to-
could go
It's the
after my
hardest
daughter.
thing.
I kept going after my daughter. Like, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. Because we got in a huge fight. And she packed up her stuff and went to her dad's, and she
Cut her off.
and she cut me off. And I'm like, and I felt like I was getting punked. Like, is this for real? This one fight?
Do you see the toxic cycle that's happening between every person is feeding off of each other's emotions?
Right.
The only way to actually break that cycle and change it is to remove yourself and say, how can I be the only one that's actually steady and consistent and no longer emotionally triggered by every other person? Because guess what happens, Kelly, when you're no longer that person, they're going to find it amongst themselves. And when the people that are supposed to be closest to her, her grandmother, her uncle, all of those, she's feeling overwhelmed. There's a lot of emotion that a 19-year-old does not have the emotional regulation that we do. They do not. She can't process it. So distance is safer for her right now.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, when you're putting the pressure on her of come home, I'm right, this is that, and it's heavy for her.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. You have to remove yourself.
Dad hates me. The mom hates me.
But your emotional regulation outlasts every one of those. Every one of those. I have a mom who just literally messaged me like 2 days ago saying, after 5 years, I can't believe I reconnected with my daughter. Like, when you're that consistent, calm, safe person, it outlasts everybody else's bullshit, because they're going to grow out of it at some point or snap out of it at some point and recognize it.
Okay.
But if you're still fighting with that same energy, they're not given a chance to actually see it clearly.
Yeah, right.
But Tanya, the thing that that I see is how difficult it can be to separate the emotion, to make it less about how you're feeling and more about just trying to be neutral. Kelly is an emotional person, and so am I. And I don't know how to navigate not allowing my strong emotional feelings. Or
doesn't mean you can't have an emotional reaction. Like, it doesn't mean you can't feel. There's a big difference. It's like you're okay to feel that way. But the best thing you could do is like mirror work. And I do this all the time. It's something that I had to do because I suffered from so many health issues when I was going through this. Mirror work means, what are all the bad things that like my family has said about me? All the things that like trigger me, that hurt me. What is everything that they said about me? And then you have to look at it and say, okay. And it's painful because it's painful in a way because it's more pride and ego that's like, could I be a bad person? And you have to get past this point. And this is the part that nobody wants to do. It's so hard, but it's so freeing, because you have to go through it and say, okay, they said all of this. Is there any truth in here? Can I think of scenarios where I've done that? And it's like something in us deep down knows, like, maybe a little bit, but not fully. And like, you don't want to admit it because you almost feel like, am I a bad person? But it never means that you're a bad person. It means that, okay, this is the place that I need to start my work on. This is where I need to start working on. Whether, for example, for me, one of the biggest things with my family was I was aggressive as a child. So the way I would speak and try to defend myself came off as angry and aggressive. And my parents were like, my whole family is like, well, why are you so aggressive? Why are you so angry? Like, until you seem violent, even though I was never physical. And so, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm just passionate. Like, it doesn't mean I'm aggressive. Like, obviously I had anger and all this stuff. That was one of the first places that I was like, why am I speaking? Why am I reacting that way? What am I going to do? So what did I do? I literally studied effective communication. How can I say this in a better way to have them land with it? And I studied it for a long time, to the point that when I want to react, it's like I'd have to, like, obviously there's nervous system regulation where it's like, okay, take deep breaths, Tania. I'm not going to react right now. I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to say something. And I had a moment to process how I wanted to say something instead. And I started there. So it's like, I didn't want to admit that there was anger in me, but I had to at some point admit that obviously my deliverability is not working. Where do I start? And so, and you go through that, and there's always something that we can improve on, but the ego doesn't want to think anything is wrong with us. But there's always something that can be improved on. It doesn't make us a bad person. It actually makes you a very good person that you constantly want to get better. And so that's where I would start. And that's the hardest thing, is like you having to write it all down and say, am I a selfish person? For example, no, because Kelly, for example, you're like, I give and I give and I give. But what could they interpret as being selfish? Have I maybe prioritized myself? And I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just speculating, because I did the same thing with myself. It's like, wait, okay, I always treated my house with my parents as like a hotel. They would tell me that. Okay, I never went to family events because I didn't want to. I didn't want to go to family events because I felt like I was the one that was like pinned on, and you know, I felt out of place and I was the outcast of the family. But to my family, they felt I didn't care about them. So that's what I'm trying to say, is like I had to rewrite. They're seeing it as selfish because I'm always putting myself first instead of going to these family events. So I had to start going through that. And when you do that, you're like, I'm seeing that perspective and I can do better. So then what I would do is I would say, okay, I'm going to go to some family events, but I'm just not going to react. And if they do talk, I'm just going to kind of sit there and not have the same reaction and say, okay, I love you guys. Like, if you feel like you guys have to talk to me about that because it makes you feel better, that's okay. God bless you. Right. And then everything in their system is like, wait, their neural pathways are literally like, wait, I'm not used to this reaction. I'm expecting an explosion. I'm expecting all of this. And then they feel stupid, as if they're attacking someone who's defenseless. Not that I'm defenseless, but I was picking my battles. Mm-hmm. And then they just started feeling like, okay, who else can I exert this projection towards, because it's not working on her?
It's basically, what it sounds like to me is like you said, putting yourself aside, putting your feelings aside, making it less about you and more about just trying to make things better.
Yeah, it's the best thing that I could have done is like, when you do that, Rick, you feel sad for people versus being reactive, because it says your reaction says more about you than them. Right. And so it's like, what can I do to not be reactive to them? Because that means that I have wounds that I need to work through, because they're triggering something in me. And if they're triggering something in me, I've got to do more work. And that's a beautiful thing, because the more work you do, the healthier and happier you actually are. And then at the same time, it shows compassion for them, because I think, like, my son, who's 7 now, has probably seen me and my sister. We still fight like sisters. She's my best friend and she works with me, but we still fight like sisters. But I love that he could see us do that and then laugh an hour later. Right. Versus if anyone else would have cut them off, because I didn't talk to my sister for years at one point, would have cut them off and done all the things. For me, I know my sister's not as healed as I am. I get people that comment on my Instagram things, and she calls me and she's raging and she's like, oh, the things I want to say to them, I'm let it go. She's like, no, I'm not as healed as you. I'm not letting it go. But so when she responds aggressively or a certain way to me, I can choose to fight back the same way, or I could say, this is her wounds that are coming up right now. I'm not going to feed into it. And then oftentimes she's like, I'm sorry. And I'll come to her and I'll say, listen, I don't know why you approached me that way. I know that maybe you're PMS and there's something going on, but you can't approach me that way. And she's like, I know, you're right. I'm sorry. Or I could have fought back and made it into a much bigger thing. So it's like, I just removed myself from it. And I was like, she's not she doesn't hate me. It's just her own shit that's surfacing.
So to your recommendation, for example, like Rick hasn't spoken to his daughter because of the COVID. She's woke. She went on Instagram, called me a racist, said all these things because I'm, I lean more
Right.
to the right, whatever. She's completely defund the police, whatever. He hasn't spoken to her. He's like, I just say sorry. He's expecting her to say sorry. She ain't gonna say sorry. So
She's not going to say sorry right now.
so do you just do you see? I always say sorry, even if I'm wrong and I know, or I'm right and I know I'm right. I still say sorry. I don't have a problem trying to say sorry and moving on. I don't have that in me. I'm always the one that's sorry. Uh, I think he should, don't you think he should just for Christmas and everything, just kind of reach out to her and say, hey, I love you?
There has to be consistent communication because same thing. How old is your daughter, Rick?
She's
Yeah. So
34.
she'll be 33, 34. My husband's a 91 baby too. He's younger. But it's she's the wounded child, right? So same thing where you rewrite her story and it's like, well, I can either feel even if she's at that age, we think that they should have the emotional maturity and all of the stuff, but they identify. You have to think about it's societal influence, everything that my daughter's going through. She's probably got stressors from her job, her husband, kids, whatever her story is. Am I going to feed into that narrative or am I going to be above that narrative? Because let me tell you, because they're switching narratives so much, and if she's following every influence and division, she can eventually find her way back to you. But I do strongly believe that the person that's more emotionally aware and having these conversations like you are the ones that have to be doing the consistent touch points. You have to.
Well,
And because a lot of the times it's not necessarily the political view, it's something in them with that sense of belonging. And some people could go through emotional regulation till they're 40, and some of them never even get to that point.
this is a little more complicated because what she did was very hurtful to not just personally to both of us, but also professionally to both of us. And what she did contributed in a very large way to Kelly losing her job.
Like,
And the
my
fact
boss, Andy Cohen, comes up to me and goes, why is your
Rick's daughter
saying this about you? This is really bad. He's like he,
my own one of my bosses said a similar thing to me, that that's a bad look for you, what she's putting out there on social media. And so, I wanted her to apologize so that it would be clear that at least there would be some acknowledgement that what she did was incredibly hurtful and wrong. And the fact that she wouldn't do it told me that she didn't care enough about me or Kelly. I wouldn't be honest with myself if I started being nice to her again when she never acknowledged that she was wrong.
Let me ask you something, Rick. Would you be sad if she died tomorrow?
Of course.
Is it worth it to not do anything if there's, and I'm asking that because someone that I was actually working with recently lost their 39-year-old son. And they were like no contact, everything like that. And we have to act in a way that, am I dealing with this in the right way if it were to be the last day that I can reach out?
But I also have to protect my wife, and I have to have.
I'll be fine with her. I want him to have a relationship.
I'm all for respect. I want to say I will never preach disrespect or anything like that. It's about why did she do that? What was it that triggered in her? Why was she so upset? Why? And I mean, I know, Kelly, you know this. Everything happens for a reason. You found your path. Fuck them. All of the stuff. Like it all worked out the way it was meant to.
God, to have a relationship with her.
But
I do. It's
we have to live out of. You have to live from a place of. I can tell you, Rick, the regret that can come afterwards. Anything that you're saying now is not going to matter. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? The respect, the everything, none of it is going to matter if you were to lose your child. That doesn't mean that everything that she did is okay. And a lot of times we think that by talking to her, I'm allowing all the pain that she caused me to be justified. Absolutely not. It's about, I need to try to have some form of a relationship. And only when I do, and I'm able to build a safer, better foundation, can I then bring up the conversations of where hurt came in and what was happening. And they need almost like the storytelling, like to show the vulnerability, not just, oh, the respect, you hurt her, you lost her job, but the vulnerability. I saw Kelly crying in the bathroom floor for nights and I felt like I was destroyed. Those are the kinds of conversations that have them be like, oh shit, there was an emotional impact.
Mm-hmm.
Tania, I have a patron named Amy, and she had a similar horrible relationship with her mom. And she knows what I'm going through. And she was talking about how when she died, the death of it was like so horrible. And I said, my mom kind of wants to always torture me, I feel like. And it's constant, and it's a constant torture. Like, even not speaking to me or not having a conversation is torture. I feel like
100%.
I think it's abusive, and I think it's wrong. And I said to her, I said, was it kind of a relief for her to die? Because it was like, you don't have that constant, she's alive, she doesn't want to talk to you. She said, it's weird. She said, yes, but I also felt a tremendous amount of guilt, and I shouldn't have.
That's what I mean. Exactly. You're right. You feel that pressure is gone, but there's the guilt because, like I said, the pain and anger, Kelly, everything leaves when they pass. It all leaves with them. So then you're forced to be like, okay, I feel free, but I don't feel great. And
Right.
why don't I feel great? And that's why I say it's like rewrite her story. Like, I don't think that any mom, there's some really fucked up ones, pardon my French, but I don't think any mom wants to be that malicious. It's just, think about it's her first life too. And I talk about that often. It's her first life. She doesn't know any more than you do. She probably has less resources than you ever did at your
Yes.
within reach for yourself. So I think that, and I always bring it back to regret. And I did the same thing with my husband when I kept asking him over, if your mom dies tomorrow, are you okay that you don't talk to her? Well, no, but I said, but you're saying no. And I would keep having that conversation. I said, Rami, you're going to end up living in regret. And that kind of anger runs deep. And I'm not going to have that bleed into your kids. And I'm not going to have it bleed into our marriage, because it always does. Every unhealed relationship, no matter what, will bleed into and will compromise another relationship in your life. And so they had to, and like I said, that's why when I did the health consultations, I always noticed it, because it bleeds into relationships, whether it's marriage, whether it's with your child, whether it's with yourself, because sometimes a relationship with your mom, a relationship with your child has you affect your relationship with yourself, because you feel like, well, what is it about me? Well, why didn't they want it? Why wasn't I never enough? Like, what was it about me? So there's always a relationship that's compromised. And so when he did finally sit down and talk to her, after like 4 hours, he broke down, and I'm talking about he got into drugs, like heavy drugs, everything like that, because he's trying to fathom why mommy didn't want me, why mommy left me when they were so close. And now it's like he's healed because he has that relationship. He understood her perspective. She doesn't necessarily agree why she did it. However, because she's so unhealed, she still feels justified in how she handled things.
Right.
She's like, sorry for how you feel, but like, I did what I thought was best. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, because it's like, no, I want to hear you say, I should have never done that. I should have been with, but the reality is we're almost never going to get that. We have to come to the realization that she did what she thought is best, even if it's not for you.
Can I ask
It's very,
sort of off
go ahead.
topic a little bit? Because we always romanticize the past. We always think, and we were just saying this, I wish we could go back to the 90s or the 50s or the 20s, whatever it is. And I know you spoke about the societal influences, the Oprah, the talk shows, all that stuff. But were things similar based on the time? But were family relationships equally as messed up back then, a century ago, as they are today? Or you think they're a lot worse now?
Absolutely not. Like, I think, well, the reason it wasn't the same is because family is survival, and you needed your family in order to survive. And I don't think that there was a cutoff culture nearly the same way. No, estrangement now runs in like 30% of families.
30%.
It's growing. It's 30%. It's scary. It's scary, and it's only growing. And I think it's only going to continue to grow unless there's like attention to saying, how can we repair relationships? How can we show more compassion for people? So because before it was like the mother was, taking care of the family, the father was working. It's like that was a sacred unit. You didn't have the same outside influence. Now, was it always the healthiest dynamic? No, but they lived longer. They had, a stronger family unit that I feel like now it's not appreciated the same way. Because of the societal influence, it's had people believe that where you belong and whoever supports you the most and agrees with you the most is where you belong.
Yes.
And it was never taught. And that's why I talk about Oprah and stuff, because it was never about, families almost never agree on all topics. It's hard, right? I think that They say 50% of your life is complete in marriage, but it takes a lot of fucking work. A lot of work, and society doesn't know how to do that anymore. Society doesn't know how to have really hard conversations, really hard situations, and the emotional intelligence to be able to handle those situations. It's not taught to them. So when you have information overload that's happening to us, average person spending, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 hours on internet or social media a day, they're going to wherever they belong, not realizing that this sense of belonging is destroying them at the root.
Right.
So it's not the same way because they didn't have it the same way back then. Now it's becoming much worse.
The other thing I've noticed is that the attention spans have gotten so short, and it's really
Yes.
difficult to have conversations with young people in many cases because they check out after 10 seconds.
You can see like the TikToks that you do and in your Instagrams. When you do your short reels, people, you're on there for like a minute and that's it. And that's all people can.
I won't, if I do more than a minute, the views go down significantly.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
How can
You have to
people
give them in
find-
bite sizes. In a world that's so emotionally dysregulated, when you're like that calm, energetically, like more healed person, they respond differently. They start to respond and gravitate very differently. That's why I always bring it back to saying it's not about you. It's everyone that's wounded. Like I get attacked all the time. I've had people write about me on Reddit. I've done all of the things. And I'm just like, okay, I'm so happy that this doesn't bother me. And I'm actually sad that you're that hurt that you want to hurt someone else. Like I always make it about them. Like, what is it about you? Like, why? And then it kind of allows me to be like, okay, God bless them and please continue to protect me. Like the moment I go to their level and react, it tells me that I'm still that wounded child.
Right.
Do you do this personally, like one-on-ones? Do you counsel people?
Do you have books? She's like, no. Do you have books out?
Right now, I'm launching a book in early 2026 called Break the Cycle on this exact topic. The reason why I don't do one-on-ones is because of capacity. I do have a private community where people can ask me questions and I do 2 monthly calls a month. But because of capacity, it's like, I would have to charge people $2,000 an hour. And even then I don't want to be stuck on 6 hour a day running these conversations. So that's the reality of it. So I put out the courses and everything like that, which takes the fundamental issue between a lot of these estrangements are also very similar. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the commonality that I found? And I'm going to put these into courses that's going to allow me to reach thousands and thousands of people versus just doing it in the one-on-one dynamic.
So how do people find your course? Do you have a website?
Yeah. So, I mean, on Instagram across the board, it's called the Repair Map is like my main course that goes from A to Z. I've even like covered every conversation that people have asked about, like my ex-husband is poisoning my child to, parental alienation, to my child has a mental illness, to all of this stuff. So on my social medias, you can find them across the board. My website right now, taniakazal.com, is getting a facelift because we're revamping it completely to the new offers. But yeah. On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, like,
well, you're
that's
very
my program.
talented.
You are so talented and you're so,
Thank you.
you just have this charisma and I was just drawn to you and I had to reach out to you because I just find you so fascinating and a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, you make a lot of sense.
And
Thank you.
Just help people. The way you talk, it's just, I don't know, God gave you a gift and I just want to show everybody how talented and how helpful you are. And I just want to
thank you, Kelly. And I'm here for you guys. Honestly,
much.
there's a handful of people that I personally do respond to and I'm happy because I don't think that there's anything more important to that. And yeah, maybe God did gift me with this. It's just something I'm so passionate about and I've been doing it for years and thank you. That's all I could say is thank you. And I'm here for it because I do think that we can fix a lot of the shit that we're seeing in the world by just first starting inside our homes.
Exactly.
Great life lessons. Thank you, Tania.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Much for everything.